What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video. And today, guys, we want to talk about why this Atlanta Falcons job, you know, compared to coaches, why it's really attractive. Why any coach, would want to should come here, vice the other jobs. We're gonna just talk about it, right? Hey, I'm putting my bid in. Of course, I'm biased, right? Because this is our team here in Atlanta. But at the same time, man, I got reasons why I still think this is one of the most attractive jobs. Of course, now we're not talking about the Baltimore job where they got a two-time MVP there, already established team, of course. But so I'm just putting my bid in, John Harbaugh, if you're listening, you know, listen to this pitch and then give a reason why Atlanta Falcons it should be the team you should consider. Um, the word is out that the Atlanta Falcons is all in trying to bring you here. Mr. Blank is pulling out the red carpet for you, and I'm gonna tell you why this is should be the team you pick. Like those other five teams that's out there. So stand by and let's see what if I can convince you, man. And there all you people out there, if you got some way to reach out to John Harbaugh, y'all let me see the video after we get through talking about it tonight because hopefully I can sell him on this thing, right? You guys see I got another hat on tonight. I told you guys every night I'm gonna come on. When I do come on, I'm gonna have another hat for you guys, right? So that's what we rocking tonight. But guys, before we get into the video, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here to talk about. Then please share my video, this video, throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come hear me talk about and us, discuss these Atlanta Falcons. All right, all right. So I'm just going to go down the other coaching options out there because it's a lot of teams, seven in total, right? That's in the search of a head coach. This this market this year is not as vast as the one probably like 2 years ago when the Atlanta Falcons had an opening back then. This is a little bit less scarce, so the Atlanta, teams really need to be homing in on there's a few candidates that's seven jobs out there. So some teams probably going to get not their first option, and that's not definitely not what we want to see, right? That's not what we want to see. So we trying to get in when we get in. That's why Atlanta Falcons, besides for the teams that fired their coaches in the middle of the season, the New York Giants and the Tennessee Titans, right? Atlanta Falcons tried to get ahead of the game, and they fired their coach Sunday night after the game, right after the game, right? We do know that they already had this, these two firms in here, looking at the organization from top down, right? They got a firm for the GM spot, and they got a firm for the head coaching spot, right? So they already been doing their due diligence. They did their homework on a lot of these guys already. However, of course, we all know it was a new guy that popped up yesterday, and everybody is all in on him. And I'm going to put my pitch in for him. All right, like I said, if y'all can get this to John Harbaugh, let him know this is the reason why he needs to come to the Atlanta Falcons, right? But let's go down. Let's go down a list of the other teams, right? So the first team come to mind is the Tennessee Titans. Okay, so they picked their number one overall draft pick last year in Cam Ward. They can have another high draft pick this year, right? So they got a lot of holes and stuff, right? It's the reason why they're picking so high because this team it's got a lot of stuff that need to be worked on. So the new coach coming there, he's going to have to deal with that, come in and try to figure out what they need. Still working with a young quarterback who's not established yet. Yes, they got a guy. They think he's a guy, but he's still young. So, but it's not a ready-made team already because if it was, they wouldn't be picking so high once again in this draft. So that's one of the things you think about. They already got their general manager in place, right? So you coming in to a team where they already got established. They probably already got their vision laid out how they want it, and they just want you to come in and try to take them over the top, right? That's the Tennessee Titans. The same thing will be said about the New York Giants. They got another young quarterback out there. Now, I like the New York Giants roster a little bit better. Look at some of the pieces they got on defense. They was really competitive in a lot of games this year, so you like that. You like what you've seen out of Jackson Dart as well. Um, like they almost beat the Denver Broncos, the team that's the number one, the number one seed in the AFC. So they got pieces there. So I think that would be somewhere if a coach wanted to go to New York, you can look at that. You would have to look at, like I said, their GM and some of his sketchy moves he has made is something that as a new coach you want to come in and work with a guy like that. Got to think about that kind of thing, right? Um, go to the Cleveland Browns. I love Shador Sanders, but the new coach come in, are you going to make Shador your starter? You got the whole Deshaun Watson situation there. It's just a lot of mess in Cleveland that they need to figure out. Now they do have a really really good solid defense already. They have a nice young group of talents that they just drafted in this past draft, and they got 2 draft picks. So that you would think that would be one of those attractive positions to go to, but with their murky quarterback situation, you might not want to go there either, right? The same thing can be said about the Arizona Cardinals. Um, they don't know what they're going to do with Kyler Murray. A new coach might come in want to keep Kyler Murray, right? We know that you like some of the pieces they got. You love their tight end and McBride. I like some of their pieces on the defensive side of the ball. So I could see, but like I said, if you're looking at teams where their record kind of reflects is they might need more than a ready-made team to come in and try to compete right away. If you want to be that kind of coach, if you want to come in and try to establish, like I said, now there's another team looking for their GM as well. So you can come in and mirror and have a vision with that shared GM if you want to with the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, the Baltimore Ravens is the most sexiest job at all, right? They got a 2-time MVP. They got pieces already on defense. Of course, their front office is well known to make really great moves. So out of all the coaching position, I would say that the Baltimore Ravens probably is the best position to go in. Only issue with that is, they're ready to win right away. So if you coming into that job, you can't just broker. They want you to come in and be the person that gets that team over the hump because they feel like they got a window right now that they can get into the Super Bowl. So that would be the pressure that the new head coach going into the Baltimore Ravens. That's what they will have to be looking at. So that's one of the things you really have to consider when you're thinking about that team, right? So that's my negative stuff I got to say about all the other teams that's searching for a job. Let's be honest, man. It's only 32 jobs, and if you want to be a head coach in NFL, you're going to take the job no matter what the circumstances are, right? You're going to come in and you think you're the right guy to get this thing turned around. I mean, look at what Aaron Glenn did this past season. Took in that New York Jets franchise. Luckily, they look like they're going to decide to let him stay to try to get this thing turned around, right? Because they had an atrocious season, going in. So you really got to think about that. I think the Vegas Raiders, they have the pieces there, right? They got to figure out their quarterback situation. But since they got the number one overall pick, you coming in, you could really see taking that Raiders team, grabbing your quarterback that you would like, and trying to build that team up, understanding that it's going to be some growing pains with a young rookie quarterback coming in. So there you have it, guys. Those are the openings so far for this coaching, this NFL season of 2026. Now we did hear that a couple more coaches, a couple more organizations called on behalf of John Harbaugh. So some guys might still be on the outside, not knowing their future yet. This wild card weekend might decide a lot of fate of a lot of other coaches as well. So it might not be the last teams that's going to be open up for a new coaching position, which is going to give some of these coaches that's out now, really time to think about and make a decision of teams they want to go. But today, I'm here to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and put my pitch in for now the most coveted coaches out there, and that's John Harbaugh. Any of the other coaches, listen to what I say, and to tell you this rally, this is where you should want to call yourself call yourself home for the next few seasons, man, and see can you get this thing to where we want to be, and come into this really awesome fan base and take us back to the playoffs. All right. So, all right, let's go, let's talk about this thing, guys. So, um, my first point is this, guys. It's a fresh start with your own vision, right? That's the first thing you want to think on. So when you coming in, the first thing I would say about the Atlanta Falcons is that the 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 owner clear house, right? It's no GM, no coach, no president of football operations. So the whole idea coming into the Atlanta Falcon organization is it's a fresh start. It really is. It's not like they coming in and telling you that we already got everything established. No, you're coming in. You're the new CEO of this football team. Um, the head man, and you can work and collaborate with the GM, with the president of football operations, and you guys can all be on the same page. How y'all want to move this football team forward? That's the best thing I would ever say to a coach. You don't have to worry about a GM already in place. You're gonna come in and you're gonna build your vision, y'all vision together, so everybody's on the same page. It's nothing that what they built before, anything like this. You all three of you guys are going to come in and look at this team with fresh eyes, and you're going to determine the right vision going forward with this team. So when you look at it that way, I think that makes Atlanta Falcons probably one of the most attractive jobs, because it's a fresh start. It's your own vision. You're coming in. They're going to tell a guy like John Harbaugh, a guy who's been, running an organization for 18 seasons. You have an opportunity to put your own stamp on this one, just like you did, but you starting fresh, right? You come in, you bring your own staff, you bring your own philosophies, you create your own culture. Of course, you're gonna collaborate with the GM and with the president of football operations, but you're gonna do this together. That's a fresh start. That's one of the reasons why when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion, this is one of the best jobs, because you're coming in fresh right off the bat. You don't have a Joe Shane still there in the New York Giants, right? You don't have that lingering over, a GM's there that's already think he got it figured out, right? You're coming in fresh with a new set of guys, and you're gonna look at this team with fresh eyes, right? No opinion about somebody you drafted, or you know what you think you had these guys. You didn't have any investments in it. You didn't make any deals before. All you guys coming in fresh, and you're gonna be able to take this organization into the way you see it fit and moving forward. That's, in my opinion, is probably one of the best ways to do it. So if you coming in, and that's what, if I was Arthur Blank, if I was anybody that was trying to pitch to any of these coaches, um, that's would be my first way. This is your team, right? This is the way we're going to do it. We're going to work with the GMs. We're going to build this team together, and then that way it won't be no excuses, right? I didn't inherit nothing. I'm building the way I want to build it, right? And that's the way I look at it, right? So for me, I definitely believe when you break it down into that fashion, where you're looking at the Atlanta Falcons, you're looking at, it's nobody in the front office. You're coming in fresh start, your own vision, along with the other two guys, and you can make this thing happen. That's, to me, that's the best way to start off. Especially a guy like John Harbaugh, a guy who um, was entrenched so long at an organization, and being able to start over. He's not coming in on somebody else's stuff. He's able to come in and create his own and build it the way he want to build it with his own vision moving forward. So Point number one for me is for the new coach to come in, have a fresh start, and have his own vision with the GM and the president of basketball operations. All right. So how I'm doing so far, guys? You think that pitch went well? The first point that I put out. All right, let's go to the next point. All right, the next point will be um, the foundation is already established, right? So I know I just said about the fresh start, but when you look at the bones, right? Look at the foundation of this team is already established, right? Even even when you still have question marks about the quarterback, right? So when you think about it like this, right? I look at an example like the Seattle Seahawks, right? The Seattle Seahawks was able to build a team around a young quarterback, right? That's probably the best way to go. You look at struggling teams like the Tennessee Titans, right? They've got the quarterback, but the team is not built right. So now you're going to go through growing pains while your quarterback is getting up to snuff, but you still got holes all over everywhere else on the team. You can't do the things you want to do. I would say the best way to do it is build a team around your young quarterback to help him out, just so he won't have to be Superman, don't have to do so much, don't have to create plays. And the reason why you're winning is not just because of him, because he was able to manage the game the way he can manage, why he grow into being that leader that you want him to be. So when it comes time for him to be able to sign that huge contract, he's able to lead the team, because once you sign that contract, you're gonna have to start to do everything else around the edges. So that's the way I like the way the Atlanta Falcons are built right now, right? They have a young quarterback. The jury's still out on Michael Penix, so we're not going to act like he's already established and he's, going to be, the franchise quarterback for the future, because we still do not know that. However, you do have a young quarterback that do have some potential, right? You cannot say that. You have seen some of the things he do. Go back and look at some of the games he had played. So he does have potential. Question is about his health, 100%. But you do have the foundation around him. You look at what you have. You have a solid offensive line already in place, right? A veteran offensive line that can come in, and it starts in the trenches. So when you look at the offensive line, you look at that, and you like what you see there. You got Caleb McGarrett coming back. You got the elder statesman and Jake Matthews. You got Chris Lindstrom, the Pro Bowl, All Pro. Matthew Bergeron is still running the shape block areas. Ryan Newsel coming in, starter last year, for the whole season, ex center, but this is going to be his second season coming in. So, like I said, a veteran offensive line, right? You got probably one of the best football players on the team in Bijan Robinson already. A great receiver, number one receiver, probably to add there. And then if you have the opportunity, with what Kirk Cousins allowed you to do with the restructure his contract, is to bring Kyle Pitts back as well. So those are your foundation on offensive side of the ball. If you're looking at it, right, you have something to build to start off with, right? Those are your foundation, those pieces, and they're here. They're not. They're something that you can build off of all the way. Right? You look on the defensive side of the ball. It's so much talent on the defense side of the ball. It's almost like wow. So you have to tip your hat off to the former regime that was here, because of the way they was able to bring in all this young talent. You look at guys like a Zach Harrison, right? Guy that had four and a half sacks before he went down. He actually leading the team in sacks before he got hurt, right? You look at James Pierce Jr., right? You look at Xavier Watts. You look at Jalen Walker. You look at Brandon Dorless. You look at AJ Terrell. You look at Jesse Bates. You look at Divine Diablo. You have the opportunity to bring Kevin Ellis back. You have those pieces, right? You're going to have to beef up your trenches on the defensive side of the ball a little bit more. But from the foundational pieces that you got, right, you have a lot to work with, right? That you cannot deny that this team has the talent, and that's why the Atlanta Falcons in the situations are there now, because the other achievement having this much talent on the team. And these guys that I called out, it's not like um, they're slouches. They're actually really, really good players. And they showed that this year, by some of the things they do. And they're young. So they're not guys that's, on their way out. They're just guys actually just starting their career and potentially could be a whole lot better in the future. So that's what so the foundation is there, guys. The foundation is really there. I'm just telling you. Think about the guys I just called out. And so when you're looking at what a new coach have to do, he has to just build around the edges of those pieces that I just called, those foundational pieces on the offense side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, I understand the quarterback situation, and right, that's why a lot of coaches could be hesitant, right? Because we all know quarterback is the most important piece to any any sport, right? It's the most important position in any sport, the quarterback. And if you don't have that, right, you're not going to be successful. However, I do believe Michael Penix has the potential, and just like I mentioned, the fact that Kirk Cousins was able to restructure his deal, because we all know what's going to happen. March 13th, Kirk Cousins is going to be designated as a post June 1st cut, right? He's going to be, right, because we're not guaranteed um, that much money for him for next year. It's just not happening, right? The only way Kirk Cousins remain here if they do another restructure, another signing, and somehow drop that number from 2027 for next year. So, in essence, what the Atlanta Falcons decided to do with Kirk Cousins is that, he made a deal with them is you either make a decision on me or let me go. And with this deal, pretty much he's going to be out the door because they're not going to keep him. All right. So the Atlanta Falcons will have to find, a bridge quarterback for Michael Penix Jr. That's something that new head coach going to have to think about in his head, right? Working with the president of football operations and the GM. They got to figure that out, right? Do they go get another young quarterback in the draft, right? They do not have a first round pick, so they will definitely be picking later on in the draft, maybe a developmental guy, somebody like a Carson Beck, right? Somebody like that, or Messenberger from LSU, somebody like that, maybe. But I imagine that Atlanta Falcons go get a veteran guy, um, bring in a Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson, somebody to come in, fill in the shoes, because you do have the foundation of pieces, and all you asking the quarterback to do is just be a game manager. Don't blow the game, right? We're not asking you to be Superman. We're not asking you to be Josh Allen. We're not asking you to be Lamar Jackson. We ask you to just manage the game, because the pieces around you is going to be good enough to win games until our potential star to get back in Michael Penix Jr. Now, we don't know the timeline for sure. Michael Penix Jr. could be ready for the start of training camp, and if you look at the timeline, he's around August time frame, right? So he could definitely be back for the start of training camp. We just don't know, right? So the Atlanta Falcons have to come and bring another quarterback in to be able to bridge that gap between the time Michael Penix is back on the field and being able to, put a productive team out there to win some games. So that's something that you can look at. But the foundation is there, 100%, guys, right? I mean, just think about all the names I just named on the offense side of the ball and the defense side of the ball, right? It's not 100% complete, and no team is going into a new season, right? You don't expect to have the same team you had from last year, right? But you look at the pieces that's here, right? You know where you have a starting point, and that's why I think this is an attractive position. You're going to come in and be able to put your own vision in, 100%. You're going to be able to collaborate with the new GM, the new president of basketball operations, and then you look at it and say, I can work with that, I can work with that, and we know you can, because we've seen what all these guys was able to do, right? Like I said, Drake London don't go down, 12 games, he's going to have a career year. Bijan did have a career year, right? Offensive line continue to be solid, 100%. Defense, hands down, 16 interceptions, 57 sacks, right? Think about that. Just think about it, man. This is a great starting point for any coach to come in, right? And then the question is, so why they let the old coach go? I'm gonna put in perspective. Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2000, 2001, right? They had Tony Dungy. They had Tony Dungy, and there was everybody knew that Tampa Bay team was just one of the best teams out there, right? They felt like Tony Dungy couldn't get them over the hump, so they brought in John Gruden. What happened? They was able to come in and just the little tweaks around it, around the center. Who was their quarterback? Anybody can remember that? It wasn't this all-world beater quarterback that they had that won the Super Bowl. So I want you to put those things in perspective. You just need the foundation, right? Go back to the 2000 Ravens. Who were their quarterback, right? The foundational pieces. You put talent around, and you don't ask your quarterback to do a whole lot, right? Run the ball, which we know we can do that. Play really really good solid defense, and that's your quarterback. Don't blow the game. That's all you need. That's that's all you need, right? So I think the foundations are here. Um, Look at what the Golden State Warriors did, right? When they had Mark Jackson, right? They bring Steve Curry in, and he get them over the hump. Sometimes you just need to hear another voice, right? That's what the Baltimore Ravens are thinking when they get rid of a guy like John Harbaugh, right? They think they right there. They think the team need to hear another voice can get them over top. Good luck with whoever it is, because it's like replacing somebody that's been entrenched for that long and thinking you're going to come in and get the team right over top right away. That's what they expect. So that's why I said that Baltimore job is attractive, but it's going to be a lot of pressure on that new coach to come in to be able to deliver the goods. All right. My last point today, guys. Last point is location. Location. Right. Right. So, Ricondo, what you mean by location? So, all right. So, first of all, what I mean by location is the division. Let's start with the division. This is a winnable division, right? This is 100% a winnable division, right? The New Orleans Saints, they got a young quarterback still learning. First time head coach coming in, be going to his year, still trying to put pieces together. They got aging stars, and and Cam and Demario Davis, right? They got aging guys, so they're building, they're rebuilding their team up. That's the direction. When you look at a team like the Aints, that's where they're trying to go, right? Carolina Panthers still got question marks, right? They was really competitive this year. Hats off to them. They can thank us for letting put them in the playoffs, but they still unsure about Bryce Young, right? They're talking about not even giving him his fifth-year option, so they still in flux. So it's a team that still not 100% locked in on their own quarterback. They are a team that's having improved over the last couple of years, but remember, all we was the Atlanta Falcons were tied in the division with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers, right? So this is a winnable division. So when I say location, I'm talking about the division in itself, right? This is probably one of the most winnable divisions in the National Football League. You go to somewhere like the NFC East, right? You got the Dallas Cowboys over there. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, and I can almost guarantee you the Commander is going to be better next year, right? So that's the tough division to try to win in. If you're looking at the NFC East, right? You go to the AFC South, right? You got the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got the Indianapolis Colts over there. You got teams. You got the Houston Texans that's in the playoffs this year. That's not a really good division. It's not a really easy division to win in, right? This is the easiest division to come in and put yourself into a position to create your vision, but at the same time, do something that Atlanta Falcons have done in the last 8 seasons and get back into the postseason. And all you got to do is, like I said, take that foundation and just build around the edges and add some stuff into the foundation to make it more solid. That's what you got to do. right? Second, when I say location, I mean you don't have to worry about all that weather, right? It's a nice indoor stadium. It's down soft, right? You don't have to worry about snow games and the weather and the ball going here and going there. You're playing inside a dome, right? Those are some of the things you got to look at. Even when you do go to your opponents in the NFC South, right? You're going right up the road, 85 North to Carolina. The weather's not going to be that bad outside. You're going down south to Tampa. The weather's not going to be that bad. The Aints play in a dome, so it's a really, really good location. When I say location, I'm talking about playing in NFC South. 100%. The weather, you don't have to worry about snow games like you were in Baltimore. You worry about freezing colds if you were in New York, right? You don't have to worry about that stuff. You have to worry about rainy games, or if you're in Tennessee, right? Those are kind of things right now. Of course, Vegas and Arizona do have domes, but like I said, those situations not as good as this situation. It's just not. It's not right. So when I say location, guys, I'm talking about when if your coach come in, you're playing in a really really good um, division where it's for the pickings, man. It's no team that you be like, I got to worry about that team next year. Every team in NFC South saying we can win this thing. Even the Aints. I guarantee you, the New Orleans Aints saying we can win that division next year, right? Even though they got a long way to go, I still believe they feel like it's a winnable division, right? Look over the last years, this division has still been the same. It's really a winnable division. That's why it's a new regime change because the Atlanta Falcons, a lot of people think that when you're looking at the Atlanta Falcons, they have one of the best rosters in the division, but we never was able to deliver the goods, right? You do like what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look at their roster, it's really talented, right? They got an aging superstar in Mike Evans, right? But they do have young star just came in, Abuka. Um, you like their running backs and Bucky Irvin. Baker Mayfield kind of had a shaky second half of the season, but that team is in flux, right? Looking at their head coach, what the organization thinking about him, and what direction do they really want to go with that. So those are some of the things when we talk about location. I'm talking about this division, right? And it's something that if you're a coach, you want to come in and like I can come in with a fresh start, my own vision, work with the two guys that's coming in at the same time with me, right? I can look at this roster, take my time, look at this roster from head to toe. What can I do? Where can I fill as a whole, right? What John Harbaugh came in as a great special teams coach, right? Can he fix special teams? That's one of the things we do. Can we stop the run and get you a solid offensive coordinator to be able to utilize all the weapons you got on this offensive side of the ball? Those are some of the things that if you're looking at this team, right, those are things you can think about, right? Guys like Kevin Stefanski, I know he could look at this team and like I could do something with this team. Clint Kubiak, right? Another guy that could definitely be a choice for the Atlanta Falcons, right? You love the background, the pedigree, what he brings to the table. Bringing that wide zone scheme is what Atlanta Falcons bread and butter is, right? Being able to play off that with play action and things like that. You have the pieces to be able to jumpstart this team right away. It's not going to be a complete rebuild, right? You're going to start fresh, right? Because it's your vision and what you want to do. But the foundations of pieces are there, so you don't have to rebuild from the start. You're not trying to put pieces together like the Tennessee Titans, right? You're not trying to do that. You're not trying to put the pieces together like you did Las Vegas Raiders. You're not trying to do that. Even though you don't know what's going on with your quarterback position, you're not having a quarterback that you're not 100% sure that that has so much salary implications in a Kyler Murray. That's where you have to think about that, right? Only team that I feel that has a better, you know, favorable hit the ground running than the Atlanta Falcons is the Baltimore Ravens. And like I said, if you become the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, expectations are very, very, very high, right? Because John Harbaugh was there 15, 18 years, and he got his team to the playoffs 15 times. So that's not expectations for the new head coach going into Baltimore, getting to the playoffs. Been there, done that. That's not what they want to see, right? That fan base has been spoiled for 18 seasons, right? They not won one Super Bowl. It's hard to win Super Bowls, guys. But being able to get to the tournament, to the playoffs year in and year out, is how you even have an opportunity to play for a Lombardi trophy, right? And that's where we're trying to get this Atlanta Falcon team to be. John Harbaugh is a guy that has seen that, you know, 15 out of 18 years he was with the the the, the Baltimore Ravens. So that's my pitch, man. I, if you don't like my pitch, you just don't want to come to Atlanta, right? Now we do know, right, that the person gotta want you, right? You know, in a high relationship, you might want the person, but the person gotta want you, right? So I don't want the fan base to go all along like the Atlanta Falcons dropped the bag on John Harbaugh, right? Maybe he didn't want to come here, but I can tell you what, if you guys show him this video that I just put out, right, and you say, John, look, listen, man, right, this is the reason why you should come to Atlanta. Listen to Ricondo, a real Falcon fan, and he'll tell you that this is the key. This is what they need to do, right? If you come here, man, you're gonna you're gonna be like a king because you're gonna do something that coaches haven't done in 8 years, right? Put us right back in the playoffs because we got the foundation, right? We're gonna utilize your vision to be able to do that, right? And you in a winnable division. What more can I say? What more can I say? Can somebody, you know, debunk any of the things I said? I think everything I said, I've stated facts, right? And you know how they say people lie, but numbers don't lie. Go look at the numbers, right? Of those players I talk about, look at the foundations, right? You go look at the film, the tape on Michael Penix Jr., and you see, you know, the potential growth that he has, right? He has to stay healthy. That's the only concern that you can have. But when you have opportunity to say, I got the pieces around, I just need to find me a signal caller to be able to come in and not do a Desmond Ritter and turn the ball over, at every turn, right? If you think about it, Arthur Smith was here. Desmond Ritter don't turn the ball so much. Atlanta Falcons probably get into the playoffs in one of those years, right? Right. Marcus Mariota, we probably get into the playoff one of those years. So no, we just need to look at it like that. I understand the quarterback position, and that's really when you think about the only reason why a coach would be hesitant to come to Atlanta is because of the quarterback position. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. But I tell you, I think the young man has potential, right? And all you need is a coach to believe that. And if you believe that, right? And if you believe they got a plan in place until the guy gets to where we need him to be, come on out here and make history in the Atlanta Falcons. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, guys, let me know what you think about my pitch to all the head coaches out there that's coming in to interview for the Atlanta Falcon job. Of course, John Harbaugh, you at the top of the list because of that experience. A guy that we know how to run an organization, right? We're not worrying about your expertise on defense. You're going to hire a solid defensive coordinator. You're going to hire a solid offensive coordinator and be able to put this thing together, right? Utilize Bijan Robinson the way you utilize Derrick Henry, right? Maybe not use because sometimes you didn't use them enough, right? But question marks on some of those some of those decisions. I know you didn't want to burn him out, but hey, you got to put your stars on the field. And I tell you, the Atlanta Falcons do have a lot of stars. So, guys, there you have it, right? Fresh start, start your own vision. The foundation is already here, and your location in this division is where you want to be. Those are my reasons why I believe that this coaching vacancy in the NFL is one of the most attractive coaching vacancies out there, right behind the Baltimore Ravens, of course. Um, so, guys, let me know what you think about it. Right, that's what I believe. Um, tune in later on. We're gonna probably later on this week when I kind of break down some of these head coaches, go over their resumes, and tell you probably my top three. Of course, number one is John Harbaugh, right? Without a doubt, he's the most established coach out there. If you're not thinking he should be the head coach, you have to explain to me why. Um, and then we'll go down the list of the rest of the guys. But right now, he's number one. Um, and you never know, guys. After wild card weekend, we might have some more, established coaches out there that you could add to the pot. But at the same time, you know that means the pool of your teams that need head coaches is going to open wider with limited coaches that people want to hire, man. Right? Somebody's, like I said, is going to get their second choice. Pretty much, I think most teams will get a second choice because everybody's first choice should be John Harbaugh, right? And if you don't get him, you're going with your second choice. So, I mean, that's pretty much the reality of the whole thing. All right. Um, but there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think about my pitch to the coaches out there. And do you agree with me that this is one of the most attractive job vacancies, for coaches out there? I think it is. I think anybody to come in and see what the Atlanta Falcons was able to do, you know, we put a showcase on for coaches this year. We had 5 primetime games. The Atlanta Falcons went 4-1 primetime, and they could see the talent just oozing out of this Atlanta Falcons team in those 5 primetime games, right? So there you have it, right? You got to tip your hat off to Terry Fontenot, what he was able to do, but the Atlanta Falcons is moving in a different direction, and the new GM, the new coach, the new president come in and be able to start anew. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.